Use references. Some people say that using a reference is bad practice, but for most people, especially beginner artists, it's very difficult to draw without having something to help guide you. Back in the olden days when photography and social media were a fever dream, do you think that artists like Johannes Vermeer and Hans Holbein the Younger drew from memory? From paintings of the girl with a pearl earring to Henry VIII, the muse, or should I say, the reference material, was sitting there for hours, sometimes days, weeks, months. Does that make these world-renowned artists like Rembrandt, Picasso, even Leonardo da Vinci any less of an artist? The benefit that we have is that we are able to access reference material whenever we want it. So use it. It's there to inspire the creatives to go get inspired and create. Don't be scared to use the resources around you, even if you have to use yourself as a reference. If you're trying to draw your character in a specific pose, but you can't find a reference, then be your own. Set your phone on a timer and take some photos of yourself in that position, or get someone else to take photos of you. You might feel a little bit silly doing this, but hey, do what you need to do. No one's going to know. Start big and finish small. This basically means to work on the larger components of the drawing first, before focusing on the smaller, more intricate details. This can really help you to break things down, or at least learn how to break things down the next time. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the detailed parts of a reference, so try and blur your references and see if that helps. You don't have to blur the whole thing if you don't want to, just blur the parts that are overwhelming. The way that I like to do this is to open up a photo editing app like Canva or even Procreate, and then duplicate the layer. Blur the image underneath, go back to the top layer, and then either erase or crop the parts of the image that you want blurred out. You can always bring up the original reference with all of its details to finish up the parts that you were avoiding. If you're still struggling to draw from your reference, then it's important to draw what you see, not what you think you see. This was such a difficult concept for me to wrap my head around. When something is missing, our brains like to fixate on it right before they fill it in with information. Kinda like what happens when you read words like this, so we understand what it says without knowing everything. But with art, it's different, because whilst there's only one way to draw the letter W, there are an infinite number of ways that we can draw that other leg. This again can get very overwhelming, especially if you don't know what you're doing or if you're learning how to do something and you're in the early stages. Learn that theory first before taking it upon yourself to manipulate it to your will. Because studying anatomy can sometimes get pretty boring, instead of finding any old reference on Pinterest, find references from things that interest and inspire you. It's not about making fan art. In fact, no one even needs to know who or what your sketches were inspired by. Just use their basic structure as a reference or as a guide to study from. Studying will become so much more enjoyable because you're creating art inspired by poses from your favourite characters. Bearing this in mind, if your sketches or your drawings don't come out the way that you had hoped, that's okay. You can use that as further motivation and something to inspire you to reach your full potential. It's like that saying, make mistakes and I will make new ones tomorrow. If you don't make the mistakes, you're not going to learn. And if you consistently create perfect art every single time, imagine how boring that would get. So I want you to do something. Every time that you find yourself getting frustrated over the mistakes and you feel like giving up, put it away and open up a new page. I want you to draw one thing that makes you happy. Whether it's a sketch of your childhood favourite toy, fragment of a memory, or even a very simple basic sketch of your dog. Just something or someone that makes you happy. Once you're done, go back to your original drawing, and then try again. Over time, you will see this page fill up, and it will be a reminder to future you of all the times that you wanted to give up on your art, and then all the times that you persevered and let your passion for art push you through. You've heard this before from myself and so many others, but there's a reason that we're all saying it. Persevere and don't give up. Your art will improve. Before I tell you the final 3 pieces of advice, including the most important one of them all, would you mind hitting that like button if you're enjoying this video so far? Also, feel free to hit that subscribe button to see more stuff like this, and leave a comment below on what you want to see next. Okay, back to the video. The internet is a great place to share ideas, but remember, social media algorithms are more likely to promote art from experienced professionals. This means that comparing your marathon to what seems like their sprint can make you feel deflated, but don't let that stop you. Everyone improves at their own pace, whatever that may be. As long as you are doing better than what past you was creating, you're on the right path. So, how do you get there? Well, let me tell you a quick story. This is Brian, and this is Bob. 2 beginner artists starting from the same point. Brian was asked to make as many pieces of art as possible, Bob was asked to make just one. And when the end of that week came, guess whose art overall was better? Brian's, because whilst he was drawing as much as he could and learning from his mistakes, Bob was fixated on making that one piece of art perfect without being given a chance to learn from his mistakes. Be like Brian. Keep working on as many sketches as possible. Practice doesn't make perfect, but it does make improvement. And when you're drawing, especially when you're just starting out, focus on quantity over quality. And the last most important point of them all, train your brain to observe and retain. In other words, look at the world around you from an artist's point of view. The most important things to note are perspective, proportions, and lighting. These are the basics. Then, go one step further and start to look at how that lighting plays a part in creating those color tones. The power of light, colors, and perspective makes an object come to life. The more that you do this with everyday objects around you, you'll start to notice that you'll be doing this without even realizing. And capturing all of this using your style of art is your challenge. Even a photograph is a camera's art style of the world around you. And if you're not sure where to begin with finding your art style, check out this video.